Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Mendoza. This is Raging Verbalist number 99. Yes, 99. We're almost to 100 for those of you who are having trouble counting. I mean, you don't have enough fingers and toes, but we're going to be at 99 and we're going to go to 100. So stay tuned. Now, this is a kind of special Raging Verbalist in the sense that this is a kind of an effect of what happened last week. And little did we know what was going to take place. And if you haven't seen number 98, well, go back and see. But you'll find out what happened and what took place. So with me, as always, is the ever lovely Sandra. Hello, Sandra.
Hello there. How are you?
Doing great, doing good. And of course, for those of you who are not aware of how this works, you can always go to the Facebook group, which is the Position to Win book Facebook group, and you can put your words in there and say, this is what we want to talk about. Be nice. Sandra will read it and be a good person. And also you can go, of course, to our YouTube channel, and you can like and share and subscribe and do all those other things. So Sandra, what happened from last week to this week? Something amazing took place after we did what we did.
Exactly. So we were talking about NFL kickers. So were we a jinx last week against kickers?
Well, for those of you who are unaware, we talked about how these kickers had, mighty atomic legs, were able to kick these, and you gotta be careful on phrasing, because when you start talking about guys and kicking balls, I mean, you just got, anyway, but and Sandra's too much of a lady to say anything about that, but anyway.
Oh gosh.
But she grew up on a farm, so she understands some of these things. So anyway, but they were just kicking them everywhere. And then last week, was the worst Sunday ever in week number 5, Sandra. It was amazing. They missed, first off, these kickers missed 12 extra points, and that tied a league record. And then they kind of found themselves in this kind of strange spotlight because, of course, throughout the start of the season, which is why we had one that was called, put your leg into it. And there were 10 game-winning field goals, either at the end of regulation or at overtime, little kickers being hoisted above the heads of their, behemoth teammates and everything, and cheered, including Justin Tucker's 66-yard bomb that he made. I mean, hey, props to him. Yeah. So all that sounded real good until we decided to say, and I think this is really the power of the Raging Verbalist. And we said, there you go. Let's talk about this. And then boom, right in the dumpster.
So when did it all start going downhill?
So week 5, even before we went live on Friday, on Thursday night, got off to kind of a bad start because the Rams kicker, Matt Gay, missed an extra point and the first touchdown against Seattle Seahawks. And you don't want to do that because it always comes back to haunt you. That set the stage for can only be described as one of the roughest times for kickers. I mean, so Matt kicked it off, or didn't kick it off, by missing a point after attempt, or a pat as they like to call it. So it all started then, Sandra, Thursday night. Little did we know that we were just by our preparation, just by our change, the butterfly effect as it rumbled and moved throughout the universe. That's what happened. Coincidence? I don't think so. Conflation? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, we did it.
That's right. So you said the universe, so I hear it extended beyond our own continent then.
So the NFL has had this kind of affliction to say, you know what? Let's take American football, which, by the way, most people around the world don't understand how you have 11 men. And as far as I'm going to say, I'm going to be gender specific out there, but you get 11 men who line up on one side, and 11 men who line up on the other side, who then at the start of the play clash into each other on purpose, and do all of that. I mean, there's some serious action going on. So they've decided that we have to have at least one game in good old London, England, and they had it last week. And yes, and by the way, that's early, for football, besides which, it's in London. So it got off to a bad start because the Jets kicker, Matt Amendola, missed an extra point attempt on their first touchdown, and they lost to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, wow. So it starts early in the morning there, Sandra. Terrible. Now, I'm not saying that we could have predicted. I'm not saying that we could have prevented it, but I can tell you that one of the things that all of those players should have been reading, and maybe we should change the title of the book, and that most businesses fail in their first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Maybe it should be most kickers fail on those extra points, and it takes a field goal to really screw it up. Something like that. Anyway, if you've not seen the book, shameless plug, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, all those other places. You can get all kinds of electronic versions, which will come sweeping towards you, and go check that out. All right. So we're going to focus more on football on this thing because this is serious. This is serious stuff. And by the way, every time there's a missed field goal, for those of you who have never seen, spoiler alert, if you've never seen It's a Wonderful Life, which is a Christmas movie that is so syrupy and I can't even stand it. I mean, but they always have the little kid go, well, whenever you hear the bell ring, an angel gets his wings. Well, all I can tell you is whenever a kicker hits the upright and misses the field goal, some better loses their shit. That's what I say. I know it's not quite the Jimmy Stewart movie, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like, So, all right. So where do we go from here?
All right. So how bad was it?
How bad was it? Well, let me tell you how bad it was. First off, these guys miss 12 extra points. This means they're in close. They're starting at the 15-yard line. By the way, they moved it back a little bit because they said it was too automatic and they wanted to bring more excitement to the game. Also, of course, to make, bettors crazier than ever before. So they missed 12 extra points. But wait, it gets better. It gets better. 12 field goals were missed in week 5. 12. Now, you got to understand, this is the first week to have at least 10 missed field goals and at least 10 extra points going back to like 2015. So it's been years and years. It was a record-setting day for disaster in all those little kickers missing those things. And now again, if a kicker came and would attack me, I would not call them a little kicker, but I'm just saying proportionately, they are smaller than, of course, the big giant players. You know what I'm talking about? They're smaller. So yeah, that was the worst. That's how bad it got. 12-12, badness. Yes, not good.
So it wasn't just long field goals missed then, was it?
It wasn't just long field goals. I mean, think about it. 12 extra points ties the mark set in 2016. And, again, you're right there. You're on the 15-yard line. And what I always love, and if you've never seen this or heard this, somewhere along the line, while the guy is trotting out and he's kicking his leg up like a rocket, kicking his leg up, stretching out, kicking the leg up and doing all this other stuff. By the way, the Rockettes are wearing high heels when they're doing it. Not saying that the NFL should be encouraging that or discouraging that, we haven't had any of that going on. But anyway, they're stretching out. And then the announcer, usually the analyst, says, well, in pregame warmup, they were hitting them from 55 yards without a problem. They were doing that. Well, guess what? They missed 12 extra freaking points. Yikes. So yeah, that's bad news.
So can you tell me what was the worst game?
Well, the worst game, and I actually was watching this game. The worst game was the Green Bay Packers versus the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. And the Green Bay Packers have a clutch kicker. They have this guy, Mason Crosby. I mean, and I mean, it's okay, Mason Crosby. And he had made 27 field goals in a row. 27 in a row. Now that's money, Sandra. I mean, you could count on that. You can bet the retirement fund on it. Break open the piggy bank and put that money down. Call your bookie Cheech and say, Cheech, give me a dime on this guy. This guy is money. Well, guess what? He didn't miss one. He didn't miss two. He missed 3 clutch field goals and an extra point before eventually hitting the final field goal. Crazy. But here's the best news. So he's at 27 in a row. So you're with me so far, right? 27 in a row. He comes out with the game tied at 22, which is a weird score anyway, right? 22. And he comes out and there's 2 minutes and 12 seconds where he's going to make the very first kick. And I'm sure all those Packer fans, those cheeseheads are sitting there going, they've got their brats and they've got their beer and, they've got, all of that. They're all excited. They're like, yeah, we got this one. I mean, it's 36 freaking yards. How hard is that going to be? This guy is money. Well, he shanked it to the left, and boom, he misses it. So there's a little bit of time left. Remember, almost 58 minutes of the game was gone before he even got a shot at kicking the field goal. Now, it would not have meant anything if, in fact, he had made that extra point. So let me share with you what happens, because I know that you're at the edge of your seat. You're wondering what happened. So the Bengals drove down into field goal range, but they didn't get quite as far. They were on the edge. And this guy, Evan McPherson, trots out on the field, sizes that baby up. Weather is not a factor. Thinking that, okay, I've got it. I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to be the guy, and misses from 57 yards away. Boom. Well, we're not done, because Aaron Rodgers starts throwing the ball and he gets them into field goal range, and Crosby trots back out. He is going to be the hero. It's written. I mean, Hollywood wouldn't even put this up because it's too corny. And what does he do? He said he misses from 51 yards away, and we go into overtime. Okay. So this is nuts. 3 missed field goals in the last 2 minutes and 12 seconds. I'm watching the game going, I have never seen such whatever you want to call it. Again, it's tough. So away we go. And the Packers, of course, so Cincinnati has the ball, and they're going to march down that field. They've got that, they've been given the chance of redemption. And what happens is that the Packers intercepted Joe Burrow early in overtime to set up the game-winning field goal chance for Mr. Mason Crosby. But a funny thing happened. He missed it again. 3 field goals down. Well, that gave Evan McPherson another chance. And they said, man, I'm feeling like they got to make this happen. And Evan McPherson goes out there and he kicks it. And I'm watching because, of course, they always, they're showing the ball going through the air. And then they show him and he starts to celebrate until he realizes that he missed it by mere inches. Well, we're not done yet. And for all of you who are sitting out there in Vegas watching this thing, now understand that the over and under, I believe, in that game was 45.5. We were at 44. So if you bet on the over, you're sitting there chewing on a knuckle, because you're like going, if this thing ties at 44, not only is it stupid, but I lose my money. And of course, Mason Crosby gets his last and final shot, and he eventually makes a 49-yard field goal to the cheer of those who had bet on the over in Las Vegas, who of course held up his head up high. So that was the wildest game, Sandra. And all I can tell you is it's one for the ages. I don't know if this is something that we should be teaching children or showing them, but it is just an example of how difficult it is at times to make field goals in the NFL. Now, other games had problems too. I mean, we had the Chargers had problems, but again, the Chargers have been having kicking problems for a long time, and they missed extra points. They did and they actually missed a whole variety of things, but they eventually went over the Cleveland Browns. By the way, I know people, my wife's family's from the Cleveland area, so sadness ensued from that. And then, of course, the Patriots had a very tight win over the Texans, and that featured on the Texans. They missed 3 extra points in a row. There you go. So, yes, that was it. And then the final little bit of fun was that the Jacksonville Jaguars kicker missed an extra point on the first touchdown. And, of course, that didn't work out well for them. And the New Orleans Saints missed an extra point after a touchdown against Washington. Wow. We're talking futility going on here. So that is your update. We had to do it because, of course, Sandra and I have this wonderful Raging Verbalist 98. We are over the top, giving love and giving accolades and saying wonderful things. And then it all just turns to shit. So there you go.
So is there any glimmer of hope?
Well, for all the pain of kickers in that week 5, for those of you who were Viking fans, who were sitting there going, they're playing the Detroit Lions, so that should be an easy win. Well, not so fast, because they had to kick a 54-yard field goal at the buzzer, at the final second, and Greg Joseph took that and hit that. And of course, the Vikings were so ecstatic that they carried him, his teammates carried him off and said, yay. So there we go. There was a little bit of a, tiny thing. And, and I got to tell you, anytime you can hit that field goal and win, life is good. But last week, tough week for all of those football fans.
So what do you think is going to happen in week 6 predictions?
Well, I have to say that, week 4, everything was looking pretty good. And week 5 didn't. We'll see. And by the way, there's not been any weather. I mean, I understand. I mean, if there's a blizzard, it's cold, the ball is like kicking a rock, I understand. But none of that was the case. So I think what's going to happen in week 6 is that, we're going to find out how well these people adjust. And I don't know what the suicide rate is for kickers, but it's probably pretty high because it's pretty tough. I mean, I can tell you, having watched the Buffalo Bills lose the Super Bowl by an errant kick, and they said wide right, and we had a Super Bowl party, and there was only one person who was rooting for the Giants. They were happy, and the rest of us, well, we cried in our guacamole. It was a sad occasion. I can tell you that. So that's our Raging Verbalist number 99. And I can tell you that you should go have some fun, go watch these games. And all I can tell you is that whenever somebody says to me, John, when you were in Vegas, did you bet on football? Well, no, I bet people about football, but I can tell you, beating the spread and beating the pros, and that means the books, is a really, really tough thing to do. So for myself and Sandra, this has been the Raging Verbalist number 99. May all your kicks sail high and straight and through the uprights without nary a chance of hitting any upright. Hopefully you're going to have a winner this weekend. Enjoy. Until the next time, remember, the Raging Verbalist is always here. And I don't know if we put the kibosh on it. Maybe this week, since we have atoned for our sins, and Sandra and I are both, we have done that. I mean, now she's a college football fan, but we have atoned for these things. Hopefully we will see a different outcome. Until next week, I'm John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Street Selling. This has been the Raging Verbalist number 99, and we'll see you next week.